What's up everybody, this is Crash from GBR, and today I am bringing you the review for Armikrog. It is a stop-motion, point-and-click comedy adventure available now for the PC, Mac, PS4, Wii U, and Xbox One. Originally crowd-funded on Kickstarter, it is now available on the console of your choice or PC or Mac, as I stated earlier. All footage you are seeing is from the Xbox One, and it is available now on the Xbox Game Store for $9.99. So let's get into the review for Armikrog. First up, content. Armikrog is a point-and-click, single-player only game, and it's reminiscent of many of the games from the 90s. You play as two characters who crash land on a planet, and together you will have to solve the game's many puzzles. The puzzles vary in style and difficulty, and depending on how clever you are and how good your memory is, the game can take anywhere between 3 and 5 hours. Now, although the game takes place in one world, it is separated by rooms, and you'll become familiar with each of these rooms as you have to travel to and from them multiple times to solve the game's puzzles. One room may hold a clue of how to open up a door in another room, and yet another room may contain a puzzle that unlocks a lever that unlocks a door to the previous room. And this is what the game is all about, traveling to each room, figuring out what you need to solve the puzzles, and moving on until you complete the game. Now, most of the puzzles can be pretty interesting. You'll have a lot of aha moments when you figure out how to solve them. But there are a couple puzzles that involve a crying baby, and let's just say crying babies are never fun. These puzzles weren't necessarily hard, I just found that they tested my patience more than anything. Next up is quality, which takes us to graphics. So graphically, this is an impressive looking game. Because it uses stop motion clay animation, it already sets itself apart from most other games out there. Each room that you enter looks like it would have taken a clay sculptor hours to make. The game is just very pleasing to the eye. And on top of the claymation graphical look, the stop motion just adds another unique characteristic to this game. Next up is sound.
Greetings, friend. I am Abraham Lincoln. Get a load of that thing.
I knew you'd come. You have traveled far, yet your true journey begins through the exit unseen.
I really can't complain about any of the sound features. The game has its own theme music and soundtrack, and the voice casting for each character fits its on-screen counterpart. Overall, I'd say all the sounds, including the sound effects, hit the mark in this game. Moving on to controls. The controls in this game are as simple as it gets. Point at something and click. It is a point-and-click adventure after all, so you can't knock it for what it is. But games of this nature usually fare better playing with a mouse. While I will say the controller does get the job done, it's just not exactly super intuitive moving the cursor with the controller in this game. You'll find in this game that you'll have to find the sweet spot on what you want to click on, and sometimes it could be hard just finding that with the controller. There are no options to adjust the cursor speed or sensitivity, so this just adds to the issue. There is an option to turn the cursor to a smart cursor where it will snap to objects that you can interact with, and this will help out throughout most of the game, but I did find it to be a hindrance during some puzzles. Moving on to performance. So the game ran smoothly for me all the way up until I ran into one game-breaking bug, and this bug made it where I couldn't complete the game. Throughout the game, the pair will work together to acquire objects that you'll need to open up doors. I acquired one object, gave it to my buddy, but the game didn't recognize this, and there was no way that I can go back and retrieve the object again, as the game autosaves constantly. There was no fix for this, so I had to restart from the beginning. Other than this, my main issue with the game is the constant loading between rooms. Every room that you go to, there's a loading screen. And in a game where you have to backtrack constantly to figure out the puzzles, the loading screens become an issue. Like babies crying, loading screens are never fun. Which brings us to delivery.
Delivered.
I I did enjoy most of my time playing Armikrog. I enjoyed figuring out the puzzles, and I thought the characters were interesting and entertaining, and it was a visually stimulating world to wander through. The game is about as simplistic as it can get, even for a point-and-click adventure. There's no inventory system to know what you have and what you found, and there's no journal of any type to keep track of all the things that you might need later on to solve the puzzles. And this is where your memory and the backtracking will come into play. If you can't remember certain symbols that you saw 10 rooms ago, you're going to have to backtrack to that room, and then you're going to hit the many loading screens. So I rate games on a buy now, buy later, or never buy. This is a buy later. $9.99 seems like an enticing price for any game, but for that price there are better games out there. There is some fun to be had in Armikrog, between the world, the characters, and figuring out the puzzles. But ultimately the finicky controls, the backtracking, and the constant loading screens bring this game down. So if you liked the review, maybe subscribe, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Till next time, keep on gaming.